So how many of you were really stoked when you were 15 and a half and you're like, yes, I can start driving soon. But then you tell your parents, you're like, I want to drive, and they're like, okay, you have to read the driving handbook, you have to get your permit, and then you got to go to driving school, and then you got to go and wait a couple of months and then get your license. But then once you get your license, you have to get the car, and then you got to get under insurance. You're like, geez, I just want to drive around the block to see my friends. And like, you got to take a year. Well, Charlie Chan said, if request music, must be willing to pay for fiddler. And basically what he's saying is, if you want something, you have to build up. It takes time to build up to it. And then for me, what irks me right now is the just future working career, and that's what I want to use as an example, going through education in order to reach whatever you want to be. And then when you finally get to that career, you got to work up still. And then when you think about retirement, you got to still work up to that. So my first thing is education. My dad told me, you know, you want to be a pediatrician. When I was little, he's like, you want to be a pediatrician, you got to go through school. You got to go through college, and then you got to go through medical school, so it'll take a couple of years. And I was like, holy crap, I can't do that. But if you want it, you got to do it. You got to learn, and you got to get to be well-rounded for it. And then for when you finally get to that career, I know a lot of people when they sign into my job, they're like, I want to be a server at a restaurant. But I did not know that I would have to wash dishes before I get up there. And you just have to tell them, well, you got to work up to it. You have to go through that stewarding or host, showing people to their seats, kind of like the lower ground. And then you got to work up to being a busser until you can be a server. And that's when you will know the entire restaurant. You got to build up to that well-educated. You have to know every corner. And then lastly, retirement. The best example is my stepfather. He used to be part of LAPD, and he would complain to me all the time. He would tell me, he was like, when I retire, I want to get a plane, I want to drive my Harley all over the country and stuff. But god dang, I ain't going to work at 6 o'clock in the morning and then working until night. And you just have to deal with it. That's basically what I believe Charlie Chan is saying when he says, if request music, must be willing to pay fiddler.
Joel.
Except for the fact that it was maybe the 5th or 6th audience survey rhetorical question that we had in a row as an attention device. I liked the opening. That was fine. Your thesis statement, you transitioned to the topic very clearly, and you told us the point that you were going to try to make. That worked out well. The preview, it sounds like it's going to be chronological, and when you get into the speech, it's a little bit clearer. I think that you could indicate that structure a little bit more distinctly, but we got the point. There's no problem with it. It could just be a little bit sharper. I like the content that you had for as far as you went with it. On each of the points that you talked about, there's a little bit of an illustration and an example that you're presenting. Some of them are not as complete as they could be. You could get into the subject matter a little bit more, but you are making your point clearly, which is what we want people to be able to do. On the presentation issues, I don't have a lot of problems here. I thought your voice projected pretty well. It was easy to hear you. There's pretty good variety in your voice. It's paced really effectively. You've got some good indicators in your gestures from the moment that you first speak. Sometimes your facial expressions could be a little bit less subdued. You looked involved, but sometimes a little calm. And nothing wrong with the calm, but let's face it, you're talking about something that you're passionate about occasionally. There'd be a little bit of variety in the expression. I thought you had excellent eye contact with the audience, and your posture is very solid. You look like you were in control the whole time, so no obvious anxiety issues. And I thought you had a very good summary and exit at the end of the speech. Thank you.